Hey there, it's Andrew Dombek. How you doing? I'm the owner of AID Performance Physical Therapy, and I have been working with Paul Gough since the summer of, I think, last year, so 2016. I've been trying to grow my business and expand. I've been in business now 11 years, and I wanted to really blow the doors off the business and really grow it, add more therapists, get a bigger location, start becoming a wellness center, offering ancillary services to help bring in more revenue. So I had been using another mentor and went to his class and paid my $5,000, and he helped tremendously with changing my mindset and moving away from treating patients and moving towards managing the office a little bit better. And then I wasn't really complete with what he offered me. So I had some friends who already had been working with Paul, and they told me I should talk to him, and so I called Paul, and true to form, like I'm someone that, like, I make a decision, I want to go, let's go now. And he's like, whoa, let's pump the brakes. Let's kind of, why don't you watch one of these accelerator programs or something like that, work through that, and then after you've gone through that, we'll touch base again and see if I'm really the best fit, if you like what I'm selling, and kind of from there. So we went through and started doing everything according to that. And then I really liked what Paul was telling me. He was giving me a strategy how to better train my staff on upselling and selling and increasing revenues and volumes, as well as how to relate to the customer, to show appreciation for the customer coming through the door the minute we walk through there, and just essentially just how to organically grow the practice. I had already noticed that doctors were opening up their own physical therapy practices, and I didn't want to have to be dependent upon the doctors. We'd mainly been doing word of mouth referrals and go to the doctors. We're on the doctor's list, but I wanted more from that. I wanted to insulate myself from, we started getting referrals from this new doctor, and we're getting 20 referrals a month. And I was like, this is not going to last that long. And I was right. 6 months later, the doctor left the practice he was in, and he went and opened up his own practice. And I wanted to make sure that I was insulated from having those highs and lows. So I signed up with Paul, and I'm the type of guy, if you don't know me, I want it now. I want it yesterday. Let's get it done. And Paul was just like, we need to just kind of take it and work it slowly. And so what we started doing is I signed up, I hired Fleming, who's been awesome, to rebuild the website. It's not as easy as it sounds with having to tweak and redo content and get videos and everything like that. Learning to be comfortable on camera was a whole nother thing. Then we had to go ahead and signed up with Rachel and Infusionsoft. Actually, I use Gareth, but now it's Rachel. And Rachel Masseter put up with me, and she was great. And we helped build. She built the funnels. We had to provide her with some content, tweak some of the content that they already had, take it from the Queen's English to or Heart of Pearl English from Paul to how I speak in the U.S. and not use the word "and" so much. So anyways, I signed up with Paul, and we started building it from the website and the funnels outward. And then we started got me doing the blogs on video blogs as well as written blogs, and trying to get on a consistent basis of sending stuff out. Well, one of the other things that came up is we went out, I guess right as I went out to one of his first mastermind meetings of everyone in San Diego last year. We were crushing it. Best January, February, that we ever had, but my lease was up in March, and so I spent a year trying to find a location. We found one location, it fell through, and so anyways, over the next couple months, everything kind of, as I was getting closer to having the build and everything, my sales dropped tremendously. I wasn't able to do the marketing as much. Social media, my focus was elsewhere, and I would have calls with Paul in panic mode, and Paul was able to kind of ask me questions and more or less calm me down and say, hey, this is going to work, you stick to the plan. This new location is going to be great for you. You'll see it. Location, location, location. So anyways, you know, February, March, then the build out June, July, and business just, it swooned. It was up and down, but it was, you know, summertime is usually a lull. And, but we had all our funnels in there. We had the website fully built out, and continuous. We increased our professional development, which I learned from Paul, trying to get the staff on the page and how to key performance indicators and getting them to increase their visits, so we can increase volumes and pre-book, you know, book everyone out, and making more and more people accountable for everything. These are stuff that I learned from Paul. So the summer comes, we move into the location, and we were able to start to see an uptick. I didn't have to spend as much time preparing the office and building the office, buying equipment, all those other things that come into moving, and computers and ITs, and my expenses, you know, through the roof. But anyways, we got in here, we moved in, and then I started to be able to do some marketing again. We decided to, because I needed to pay for the new space with the increased rent, started to do newspaper ads to try and draw people, try to do some. We have done one seminar in office, and, you know, we kept talking to Paul. Wasn't able to go to the Chicago group just because we had just moved and money was kind of tight. Then, you know, we moved in here, and October, November, we start seeing the climb. And we just finished, let's see, last month, October, we saw over 600 visits. A little bit about my clinic. It's myself, I only treat about 15, 16 hours a week. I have 2 full-time physical therapists and a physical therapist assistant who only of recently was able to work a full 20-something hours. She's had a lot of vacation, or we haven't been full enough to book her up, as well as she took a lot of vacation time, yada, yada, yada. Anyways, I digress. Things started rolling. We started implementing, you know, telling people 12 visits, that's what the average is, this is what you need, you say it with confidence. We explained, you know, why we need to come to 12 visits, why it's important not to cancel. They got that from the upfront. You can't cancel when you're gonna reschedule, in order to make, you know, everything is about meeting your goals. This is what we're gonna take to meet your goal. What is your internal problem? And so we have hit, now the end of the year usually picks up, and I knew this was coming, but we finished this week with 165 patients, which is approximately, probably pretty much 100% capacity. We start out with about 170 visits this week. We've had quite a full handful, but we have, you know, cancellation wait lists, and we were able to backfill some of these people, had a couple no-shows. November, 600 plus visits. October, 600 plus visits. I don't remember what October was, or September was, but today is December 1st, and we already have well over 400 appointments booked for the month. Next week we're booked at 170. The following week we're probably booked at 170 as well. I know on Monday alone we have 9 new evals. where did all this come from? I got with Paul, we have Facebook retargeting, we have Facebook ads with videos, we have ads with the back pain reports, we've done newspaper ads every other week. We continue with blog posts on our website, Instagram posts of many videos and exercise pictures. We do funny things on our blogs and Facebook Lives. We send out emails to the past patients. We don't do that enough, and we need to do that. Google, of course, the doctors, word of mouth. And people say, well, how are your newspaper ads? How much business are you bringing in? We have a phone number on our newspaper ad for people to call in if they want their report. The phone has rung twice. We got 2 people reports. One of them booked for, I think, Falls. She wanted the report, and then we got her to schedule an appointment. She wound up she no-showed the appointment. So we didn't have any direct leads from that. And I always question, Paul is like, is it working? He probably says this, how can I tell if it's working? And I get from all the other mastermind people, they're like, how's your newspaper ad doing? And I can't necessarily pinpoint, which is working where. I was on the phone with Fleming today, and we estimated between, what I'm spending over $4,000 in advertising, and come to like, I think it was about 4,000. It's like $60,000 a year is the anticipated amount. Probably a little bit more than that with incidental things here and there. But at least $60,000 we plan on spending next year in advertising and promotion, with the thought of we're going to have an increase of the goal is to get another $230,000 in revenue for next year. And I'm so confident that we're doing it. I'm kind of going all over the place, but it's that wheel of engagement has come back. It's like, how many touch points do we have? And how do I know what is working, what's not? Well, I know Google, they push the button, we get a response that says, all right, they came from Google. Facebook, there's inquiries for reports. They come in on our website, inquiries. We didn't really have the best people up front doing the conversions there. So what I went out and hired a salesperson today who's been in gym sales, and he's coming in. He was more than happy to join. He was getting paid $8 an hour plus commission, and I came in and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pay you $13 an hour plus and give you benefits, paid time off, retirement fund. And the kid, you should have seen, like, the blood rush from his face. He was just like, where can I sign? I'm not gonna know I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. I don't have to work on the weekends. So everyone plays a part. We also hired another receptionist. We're moving one of the receptionists back to be a PTA because we're trying to still deliver the high level of service with this huge amount of people here. We want to have the extra eyes and hands to help out the others in the back to kind of keep on top of the patients that we have. As we're getting, at times we can have 3 therapists and 6 patients in the office space. So anyways, everything that I've learned from Paul, and I forgot that I went to an Alexandria sales meeting, and he's funny. My office manager, Jen, came with us, and he's like, he's not allowed to have more than 3 balls in the air because I want to do everything and I want to do it now. And we're just trying to pick 3 and focus. And I think the other day, Paul's like, you can't get done as much as you think. I used to write my schedule, like, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And now I'll put on the schedule 3 things. If I get to 2, that's a great day. If I can complete 2 things, that's awesome. 3 things is just icing on the cake. Time management, professional development. Yeah, I've it's just tremendous amount of knowledge that Paul has, and it's a sponge. And I didn't go to the Orlando. There was some conflict and, again, cost kind of thing. I didn't go to the Orlando, and it's like, well, how can you afford not to go? But going to Paul's stuff, it's like, Paul said, if you hear the one thing that you need to hear, put your pen down, walk out the door, and go. And that's kind of where we are with Paul, is like, I'm still working everything that he has and still trying to mold it and continue with the social media and all the points of engagement. And it comes back to, I was at a soccer game and there was a dad. We talked, but I didn't really know. And he goes, last week, he was like, hey man, so you're the back pain expert. And I go, yeah, I am a back pain expert. Why? And he's like, oh, I've had some back issues before and I went to another physical therapist and we had this and this. Can you do all that? And I said, I can. I sure can. And how did I know that he knew that I was a back pain expert? Because last week because I've run ads in the newspaper that says I'm the back pain expert in the area. So I know that it goes back to, I remember Paul telling the story of how the guy and the girl met. Guy goes to the bar, he's in the pub in England. He sees a girl, it's a neighborhood pub, he sees this girl, but he's too shy to go over her. And he sees her several times on a weekly basis in the bar, pub, whatever. So one day he's in the laundromat and he's doing his laundry, and then lo and behold, the same girl that he's been eyeing comes into the bar, or comes into the laundromat. And so he starts talking to the girl and they hit it off, ask her to go out for coffee. Coffee becomes dinner. Dinner becomes, 6 months later, they're out with friends. And the friend goes, so, how did you guys meet? And the guy goes, oh, I got this one. We met at the laundromat. And the girlfriend, of course, your wives and girlfriends are always right. She's like, no, we didn't meet at the laundromat. We met at the bar. It's the first time you saw me was at the bar. And so it goes back to, is my Facebook ad working? Is my newspaper ad working? What is the return on investment and all that? I can't necessarily pinpoint one thing, but I think it's the whole sphere of, I do know when people walk in, our location has been a freaking boon. We got people walking in. I got like an $8,000 sign on the door on the building. People think there was another PT clinic located in the complex before, and people are coming, oh yeah, I come to you before. Like, no, we've just moved here. It's funny because my location before was tucked away. It was only 4 miles from my current location. And 4 miles not too far. This same people that are now coming to us, who live within a mile of the clinic, are like, oh, I never, oh, why'd you come here? Well, where you're located. And I'm like, well, I was only located 4 miles from here before, so location helped. But we, the constant battle of trying to, get word of mouth referrals from these people. They bring in, do a good job. They bring their husbands, they send their kids friends. And it's taken off, getting a whole new neighborhood that we never had before. So I'm kind of rambling here, but it goes back to, like I said, the wheel of engagement. It's all these touch points that everyone needs to do. So it's not necessarily one thing, or maybe they need 5 touch points before they came in here. And so they go to the doctor, finally something hurts, they go to the doctor, they come in and they come here and like, oh yeah, how'd you find me? Well, I saw you, your name on the list of the doctors. And then what happens is, maybe later on, talk to them and like, oh yeah, you're popping up, your face pops up on my Facebook feed all the time, or so-and-so in some chat room was talking about you. So it was one of those things that initially when they come in and they say, this is where I found you, it's not necessarily they came from the doctor. It's like, hey, I have this list and all these lists and I see this name and I go, oh yeah, I've seen the sign, I saw some ad, and it all kind of goes together. So the moral of the story is, stick with it, be patient. Paul has so many things to teach you, and he's constantly learning and tweaking things for the better. I love learning, and I love, going out to see Paul and how to grow and advance, and he can take you from wherever. I mean, I was in business for already 9 years before I met Paul, and I had 2 therapists. but I wish it took me 6 years before I hired my first full-time employee, and then that 7th year before I hired another physical therapist. And I wish I had the whole network of everyone to bounce ideas off, get their opinions, use each other's materials to help grow what works, what doesn't work. Listening to the going on, I wasn't doing the calls and, all the time. And then, I talked to Fleming. He's like, you never know what kind of pearl of wisdom that you might get that may spark it. And so every week I blocked on my schedule. Wednesday is one of our busiest days, but I block 2 hours and I get my lunch, I do my notes, and I listen. When I can participate, I participate. So anyways, I can't say enough great things about what joining the mastermind group has done for me. Confidence, direction, just knowledge, how to do a sale, how to understand people, how to understand your staff, mindset, learning about social media, you name it. It's just like, it can be overwhelming, but you got to take your time. Everyone has different situations. I had a little bit more money to spend where I could have Paul do a lot of the stuff. I can jump on board with Infusionsoft. I can jump on board with Fleming to build out the website. But it all pays off. You get what you pay for. This is what it's doing, is I'm investing that money into the business. This is an investment in to grow the business. And so if you had to spend $50,000 or $60,000 next year in order to increase revenue by $230,000, would you do it? My answer is yes. I'd do it, and I'd do it again. So thank you, Paul. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Rebecca. They all have a hand in this. I talk to Tom, on a semi-weekly basis, and we're constantly tweaking ads, changing words, what's not working, what's working, how can we get this so we get the most return of investment on all of our audience and ads and stuff, and the gamut. The whole thing has been, it's worthwhile, and I do miss, it's great to be able to go and talk to all of you, Dean, Trevor, Jerry, Andrew Vertson, Amy, Amy Bakula, Eric Bloom. There's so many people that I've met, and I apologize, and I listen to, and, give feedback to, and I hope you can use me. If you have questions, use me as a resource. I've done and seen a lot, and I'm happy to help. So thanks again. I can't say enough great things about Paul. I look forward to talking to you again, Paul, Tom. Next year, my goal is $1 million in gross sales. I'm recording now, so that's my goal. Need to hire another therapist. We need to increase our volume by, maintain our level of volume now, and bring in 40 new patients. How are we going to do that? Well, we might have to drop some, sorry, I'm going back on a tangent again. But anyway, some of the other strategies that Paul says, raise your prices. If you're this busy and you're booked out, what do you got to do? Well, one of the options we talked about is doing a premium in the evening and for the morning for the most popular time spots. I need to do impact filter on the results that, before I throw this on my staff. The other one is finally maybe we drop our lowest paying insurer, which is Aetna. I know everyone pays, has different insurance if you're in network. I'd like to drop some of the in-network providers that you have to fill out the most amount of paperwork to get, minimum amount of visits. It's a burden to the patient, it's a burden to us, and they don't really care about what the patient's overall goal. They want, can you walk and can you feed yourself? Great, you're done. We don't care if you were running, if you were, you're happy when you're running, happy you're playing sports. So, you have the options. You raise your rates, which for us would be adding a premium, starter hours from 8 to 5, charge a premium for the 6 p.m., 7 p.m. slot, charge a premium for the, charge a premium for the 7 a.m. I think I got this idea off of someone. I think Paul, when we were in San Diego, there was a chiropractor out there that's part of the group. I can't remember his name, I'm sorry. But anyways, he's like, hey, this woman wants to see me at 5 a.m. in the morning. I don't open at 5. So Paul's like, well, tell her you want $200 for the hour. And lo and behold, the woman was willing to pay the $200 an hour because of the extra time. So idea from you guys, dropping the insurance, doing balance billing, Jerry Durham, and then, hiring another staff person also potentially handle the load is the way that we're going to take this. And ultimately my goal is to see less patients and make more money. I know it's working. I know the website is working. We had a patient that was out of network with our insurance, and they had actually read everything on one of the running or athletic pages that we have, and was asking about each individual therapist, and the receptionist said, these two people would be great for you, and they said, well, what about this other person? And they just like, he played lacrosse, I would like this kind of thing. And we're like, sure, you can see them, and we're like, well, this is what your cost. And they're like, whatever, I'm coming in out of network, I will pay the out of network rates. And I had another guy the other day who called, and same thing. And it's a matter of, what are your goals? What are you trying to get back to? What is it worth to you? We didn't necessarily have to go to that conversation. I just knew that this patient went to the doctor's physical therapist for prehab, had surgery. The doctor recommended, I guess they recommended us, told the gentleman that we were out of network, and we had limitations, and I went ahead and told him, hey, I personally guarantee that if you're not happier than when we're finished, I will give you all your money back, 1. 2, you can come in for initial evaluation. If you don't like what I'm telling you, you can leave, no money cost. 3, and I'll break up a payment. I'll do a payment plans, whatever you need to help meet the goals. And generally got them to pay, we didn't necessarily get them to pay our complete out of network rates, but we're getting $30 more than our lowest insurance rate, with the balance billing part of sometimes this insurance company will pay $137, and sometimes the insurance company out of network rate will pay us $300. So it's worth me taking the risk and taking the increased money. He's going to pay, the $100, and I said anything we get above and beyond that, that's mine. And the patient was like, gladly. So I feel that we're going to have a client for life. We have ancillary services. We got that from Paul, nutritionist, massage therapist, because patients are going elsewhere. So if they're going to go elsewhere, why not keep them here? Got return to play programs. All this stuff that I've taken from Paul Hendricks with his weight loss program, got the idea from the nutritionist, and some of stuff like Carrie has said with her Pilates and return to sports. We've gotten that from a little bit of everybody. So the money you spend and being with the group is a drop in the bucket compared to the value that it provides, and everything is about a value add. Paul Gough is a value add. We look forward to finishing this year strong, despite the 4 or 5 bad months that we've had this year. We look to be making right now on this pace an 8% gross gain, and we're just falling. We might break even or come close to making as much money as we did last year, with the increased costs of having to move paying for the lawyers to read contracts and all the new equipment and everything like that. I paid off my line of credit already. I had paid off the $20,000 I borrowed from a credit card. That's how successful things have been. It's been great. So thanks for listening. This is a long video. I hope it's usable. Have a nice day.